Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining in. Welcome to the webinar on transforming education. This is Darshan. I head the marketing function for Education Transformation Unit at TCS ION. I would like to introduce Krishnan CA, our business unit head for education at TCS ION. He carries rich experience across geographies in the US, Europe, and in India, working closely with Fortune 500 clients across industry verticals such as banking, telecom, manufacturing, retail, and education. Krishnan has held several leadership positions in strategy, business development, delivery, and products, and has been part of TCS ION right from its inception. With a keen understanding of client priorities and a deep domain knowledge of key industries, Krishnan has conceptualized several new products, platforms, and services in Tata Consultancy Services and has helped global clients reimagine their business and drive value creation for their consumers. Krishnan, welcome. Over to you for the welcome address and the context setting.
Thank you, Darshan, and a very good evening to all the decision makers, leaders, our strategic partners from the academic world who have joined us today. Thank you for taking time off this evening. And over the next 1 hour, we want to talk to you about a topic that's very close to our heart: transforming education. Over the last 3 to 4 months since the pandemic began, we've been working very closely with our partners in the education space, understanding their challenges and trying to come up with interventions that can support them in these very difficult times. It is said that no nation in the world has become a developed country without focusing on its education sector. That's what we are really passionate about. And our point of view is that transforming education has 4 broad dimensions to it. And we're going to talk a lot about it. And I definitely look forward towards the end of the session to take your questions and see what you think about it and how we can work together on this mission that we have set ourselves on. The first dimension of transformation and the heart and soul is learning transformation. Our point of view is learning transformation involves bringing very high quality content that is industry relevant to students and embed it in set of methods and practices that will make sure that learners are consuming that content fully and getting benefited from it. Our leadership position as one of the top recruiters in the country gives us a vantage point to set up those partnerships with corporates, bring in the top subject matter experts from the industry, from the academia, to make sure that students are becoming employable. And I definitely look forward to talking a lot more on how we can enable this transformation in your institute. The second key dimension of transformation is assessment transformation. As many of you know, TCS ION is a leader in this space. We conduct some of the largest assessments globally. Till date, we have conducted over 200 million assessments. And from all of this experience, what we've learned is technology is only one dimension. It is the process. It is about leveraging technology in a way that we protect the credibility of the institution, and also in this very difficult times ensure that the right practices are adopted to protect student health as well as reduce their anxiety and their parents' anxiety as we conduct this exam in multimodal fashion. The third dimension of transformation, which we will talk today, is on placement and internship. Finally, learning has to make a pathway for students and the institution to get exposed to the industry. And one area that we have worked quite hard on and which has received very positive response from the market is to aggregate a large number of internships in TCS and in our partner corporate institution that students can benefit from and get exposure, start networking with eventual corporates and subject matter experts as they go through this internship program remotely. As far as outcome linkage is concerned, we've also made sure that over 7 lakh students are benefiting from some of our courses like career skilling that has enabled students to get skills that corporates are looking for. The last dimension of transformation is operations transformation. And operations transformation is all about bringing global best practices to help institutes to run their operations smoothly. The pandemic has created a situation where it is no longer possible to drive the operation of an institute without leveraging on technology. And one key area that we will talk extensively on is technology is only one solution to this problem. It is also about adopting and getting benefited from the various technology value adds that we are bringing on the table. And in that regard, we have created a managed services model so that the probability of successfully adopting technology is near 100%. And we will talk a lot more about how we have enabled this for some of our institutions in today's workshop. The last point I want to make is that all of these dimensions are reinforcing each other. So an institution that starts off in a journey of learning transformation by adopting some of the courses, certifications that we have put together, they will start understanding some of the pedagogy that we are implementing, the global best practices, and then they can leverage that to transform the rest of the courses that get delivered in the institute if they adopt our solution. So it is not to be seen that each of these transformations are operating in silo. We have seen that institutions that adopt all of these transformations together are seeing a multiplier effect. So COVID situation has caused a lot of challenges, a lot of anxiety levels among students, parents. But we do believe that it has also created an opportunity for leaders from the technology, from the industry, from academia to come together and work together to leapfrog some of this thinking and ensure that we reach a higher state of maturity across all these dimensions. So that's what our mission is. And we look forward to take your questions and have a very interactive session. Thank you. Back to you, Darshan.
Thank you, Krishnan. So with this, I would like to introduce Smriti Mulya, our head of learning products at TCS ION. Smriti has about 20 years of work experience, which spans across education sector, consulting on strategic management and organization behavior excellence. Welcome, Smriti. Over to you, Smriti.
Thanks, Darshan. Thanks, Krishnan. Before giving too much of agenda on what I'm going to talk about, let me directly get into what we're talking about in the context of the first dimension, which is learning. All of us are aware that TCS as an organization has been collaborating with educators, learners, policymakers over the last few decades on talent build, talent development, etc. The last few years, we at TCS ION have been working very closely and collaboratively with the academia towards creating products and solutions to enable education, to make learning more impactful, etc. Specifically from a learning standpoint, before I get into what we are doing to transform learning, I would like to take into consideration the main character in learning. Yes, that's the learner, right? Now, basis our cumulative experience and interaction so far, to transform learning, we need to be able to address their needs, specifically their needs. So let's look at what their specific needs are. Okay, my screen is stuck. Yeah. First and foremost, the learner needs guidance. The learner needs right fit skilling, right fit learning guidance, right? Now, there are students and learners who are pretty clear in their in their journey in terms of what is it that they want to achieve, what is it that they want to pursue. However, a majority of them need validation, they need mentorship, they need support to help them make the right career decision. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is learner needs to continuously be engaged. Yes, there are a large number of distractions that exist in a young learner's life. All of us are aware of it. Though there are a few learners who are pretty focused on their goals, they're pretty focused in terms of what they want to achieve. They don't hesitate in terms of putting extra effort towards those achievements and goals, but a lot of them need continuous nudging, continuous engagement, and so on and so forth. The third key dimension is that learning needs to be embedded in the core. What do we mean by that? There needs to be a reason to complete a course. There needs to be a reason to ensure you have completed what you've started, right? And a lot of times we start like a hobby, many new things in our life, and typically other important or more engaging things take priority if there is no mandate coming from anywhere. And that is where educators and policymakers come into playing a very, very critical role out there. The last but not the least, learner needs an outcome, right? Most of us understand and believe that in case of higher education or in case of these young learners, job linkage is the most important outcome that we're talking about. Now, having said this context, let me take you through certain instances of how we at TCS ION are catering to these needs. The first and foremost, which is learner guidance. We have a product that we have, or a learning construct that we've launched, which we refer to as TCS ION Campus. In the market, there exist a lot of tools and services in the market which essentially allow a learner to or a student to get insights into what is right fit for them. The key aspect out here, however, is that we believe that how is it that we can leverage technology? Of course, when we say leverage technology, what essentially comes along with it is making it more accessible and at scale. Best in class for world recognized frameworks and best mentors, right? Best mentors. And we offer these through the TCS ION Campus construct that we create. So what does it include? First and foremost is a multi-trait assessment, which essentially is based on an interest, ability, personality, work value, skill, and knowledge-based assessment. Basis this inputs, there is an insight card that gets generated, which is nothing but a personalized report with best fit career recommendations, leveraging an O-STAR-NET framework. O-STAR-NET framework, I'm sure most of us are aware of, essentially includes, it's a framework which is well researched and well adopted across not only industries but also across geographies. These two components, which is multi-trait assessment and insights card, is made available for free to all learners on through the TCS ION Campus product. In addition to that, we have a detailed report and career counseling, which is available to the students on a nominal fee, where we provide insights into what are the best recommended job families for a learner, a virtual connect with a live mentor, so that they're able to get guidance, personalized guidance, and are able to make the right career decisions. So that's the first part in terms of how are we enabling learner guidance. The second component, which is continuous learner engagement, what we have done in TCS ION is we have launched certain unique learning constructs, keeping in perspective the engagement that is of most critical importance. Some of these products I've just listed out here, which is TCS ION Industry Honor Certification, TCS ION Industry Honor Program. Now, both of these constructs are designed collaboratively with the industry and academic experts. And here the focus is to focus specifically on, the idea is to focus specifically on how is it that we can enable learning on business 4.0 skills, enable learning on industry relevant skills, within the academia construct that is available to the students. And if you look at the way industry honor program is constructed, it is a specialization which builds together a learning path starting from the first semester to the last semester. And rather than it getting focused towards end of the program, it is a slow build up of these skills which are most relevant for the industry. So that's the construct that we follow in case of industry honor certification. Similarly, if you look at TCS Blaze and TCS Gurukul, here both of these are collaborative learning components of collaborative learning platforms where the learners can engage with their peers, learn through their peers, and of course, and most importantly, along with the academic and industry experts that we have carefully curated from the industry, carefully curated from the academia to basically work with the students to help them learn. Now, what you'll notice across these four constructs is that the idea is bringing together experts who can work with the students to help them learn, who can continuously engage with the students, who can nurture the students, who can guide the students on specific areas or skills of learning. And it is not limited to, just a digital learning content which is made available to the learners. So the idea is again and again engaging with the student, nudging them with nano learning material, nudging them with content which they can go through in bits and pieces on in every on their day-to-day routine. So for example, in case of a community or a community platform based construct, there's a focused push of pushing nano content that can be consumed by a learner every day. Say at 3 o'clock you will get a message in terms of some new component on IoT or some new component on, say, cybersecurity, like that, right? Now, to expand on this, I thought I'll also slightly deep dive into one of the constructs, which is the industry honor certification. What we have done in case of industry honor certification, of course, there is digital learning content which is available, which is in multimodal format, be it e-learning content or ebooks or videos and stuff like that. It is augmented by live lectures directly by renowned academic and industry experts. So that's the second most important part, where the students are connected with the experts on a topic. So for example, if in IoT, there is a specific topic which requires slightly different expertise over on the hardware side of IoT, we'll get in an expert who can easily and simply explain that component to the learner. That's the second part. The third part is a discussion room that is made available along with the academic experts as well as the industry experts, who bring in their perspectives in terms of real life scenarios, specifically from an industry expert perspective. And their key role and the key job that they play is to continuously mentor these students on a day-on-day basis, continuously engage with these students on a day-on-day basis through various innovative enablers like a quick quiz or a challenge of the day. You post a challenge, the students respond to it. In that process, they also interact with each other to get certain insights on that component, right? The next the next aspect is, sorry, just one second. Yeah, the next aspect is the most important part is the experiential learning component that we are able to bring to this content construct, which is the industry assignment that we make available to a specific learner. Now, out here, what is more important is while you're building experiential knowledge with these learners, you're also engaging with these learners better, and actually learning by doing is the most important or most critical tactic for engaging with these learners on an ongoing basis. Anyone would prefer doing something rather than just reading something and not doing something. So that's the key aspect that we're trying to bring. In addition to that, what we're also doing is, there are assessments, of course, that is part of any construct of a product that will be there. There's an interesting construct of the certificate as well. But what we are doing is we're also exposing learners to internship opportunities and job opportunities, which is kind of linking back the outcome to the entire construct. So that's the key focus out here. So if you look at the key thing that is the construct objective is to continuously engage with the learners along with the industry expert, academic expert, faculty spokes, and to help them build the experiential knowledge, which is most relevant and most important from an industry point of view. Moving on to the third dimension or third insight that we have, that the learning needs to be embedded as part of the core curriculum. The first and foremost is that it needs to be curriculum and credit aligned. So what we've done is in the construct itself of the industry honor programs like industry honor certification or industry honor program, we have created it in alignment with what the regulators demand or what the regulators require. That is the AICTE and the UGC guidelines. Now, IHC as a product is in alignment with 3 to 6 credits that are there, and it has appropriate lecture, tutorial, practical distribution that is applicable. And it is mapped to a degree program. So for example, there are certain courses or structures which are mapped to mechanical engineering, or there are certain courses which are mapped to BCom as a stream. And these courses are again technology requirements, technology which are aligned with the business 4.0 requirements. Similarly, in case of the industry honor, in case of an industry honor program, it is a combination of multiple courses which are spread across 6 to 8 semesters. Again, these are about 15 to 20 credits per year. which can be spread across SEM 1, SEM 2, SEM 2, SEM 3, sorry, SEM 3, SEM 4, or SEM 5, SEM 6. And the entire thing focuses on building a specializations. And how how institutions can leverage this is they can leverage this specialization by augmenting it over a base program they already have to create new specializations. So for example, if you're running a BSc in mathematics and a program or an IHP program on data science can be augmented on top of the base BSc in mathematics to offer a new program called BSc in data science. So that's the approach that with which this program has been constructed. The other aspect is these are mapped to streams, as I was saying earlier, and it's got a good coverage across business skills, whether it's programs around finance, design thinking, entrepreneurship, etc. Business 4.0 skills, whether it is around cloud computing, DevOps, AI, cybersecurity, data science, blockchain, etc. It also has specific coverage on mechanical. There are courses in the to cater to automotive requirements, power requirements, specific manufacturing requirements, as well as from a computer science perspective, where there are programs around UX, UI, big data, quality management, etc. Now here, the idea here again is to reiterate the fact that these programs have been defined or designed in a way in which it can easily fit onto an existing program that is being run in an institution. And it will equip the learner to build the skills which are most relevant from an industry perspective. So that's the third dimension. Now, the fourth aspect is linking learning outcomes. Okay, so we have worked out a concept called digital square. But what it essentially means is that when we start a journey with a learner, wherein we help them understand what is the right fit career for them, we move on to what is the right fit learning for them. We move on to what is the right fit certification program that is corporate endorsed or industry endorsed. The most important is how is it that we can ensure that there are related job openings available from the corporates, right? Towards that, what we are doing is we're working with a large corporate ecosystem, and of course, we're starting closer home, where we are looking at, where we have signed up with, of course, the Tata Group companies, which have been onboarded as corporates who are making their job opportunities available. Plus, there are another 167 corporates that we have tied up with across multiple brands, small, large brands, which we have tied up with as a corporate, openings that are made available to the students who have completed these programs. So these are so let me just reiterate the four key dimensions that we're talking about here is being engaged, being guided, being engaged, ensuring that there is an outcome that is linked to every program that we have, and how this program can be embedded as part of the core program, right? So to summarize, the way or the approach that we're taking towards driving transformation is by carefully designing learning constructs and variants to make learning relevant, engaging, and outcome-driven and outcome-oriented by bringing together the enabling ecosystem. So that's our focus, and that's the area or that's the approach that we would like to work collaboratively with each one of you to ensure that we are able to make an impact in the area of learning. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Over to you, Darshan.
Thank you, Smriti. Now I would like to introduce Abhijit Datt, who heads our digital assessment segment, spearheading teams that deliver on digital academics. So Abhijit has over 29 years of experience working with Siemens, GE, and joined TCS in 2010. He's held various leadership positions in domestic and international roles with a passion for reading and curiosity for learning. So welcome, Abhijit. Over to you for the assessment transformation section.
So good evening, everyone. Good evening, all the dignitaries from the sector of education. The following section is actually going to be more focused when the question paper, when the curriculum has been set for the institution or for the examination for induction of students. So in the month of February earlier this year, we actually celebrated 9 years of TCS ION formation, and out of these 9 years, our focus on assessments have laid its foundation. So over these 9 years, we have built brick by brick, center by center, customer by customer, to gain the confidence of the industry, who has given us the privilege and the option of having assessed about 211 million candidates in the last 8 years. And as I mentioned, that these 211 million candidates over the last 8 years have been accommodated largely in world-class institutes and in test centers, which have converted TCS ION or launched TCS ION as a leader in digital assessments, providing the world's largest assessment platform. And how was this possible? This was possible with the philosophy that we develop a platform which caters across the institutions, which makes sure that it addresses the primary needs of the candidates and that of the institutions. And we are able to seamlessly deploy it for the institutions and the candidates, whether it pertains to recruitment, whether it is for academic admissions, whether it is certification, whether it's for prep tests, promotions, or even academic assessments. To enable this, we created physical assets in terms of exam venue cities, identifying cities which so that we can reach out to candidates who earlier were had to move to metros to be able to appear for larger exams, more prestigious exams. Making sure that the computing devices met the standards and were available for the candidates, and building individual and tying up with colleges to create 6,500 plus exam venues so that at any point in time we are able to cater to the institution requirement. We realized that not only in terms of physical setup, we also needed digital setup. And that is where we brought in the content authoring engine, which allows an institution to create question papers digitally online and deploy it through to the test centers without having to actually get a pen and paper involved. Building our own customized operating system so that we can so that the entire environment of delivering an assessment becomes completely secured and cut off from any kind of external influence or intervention, and putting in place a global command center where centrally the institution and the TCS team can monitor what is happening in these test centers insofar as the execution of the exam is concerned. So with this combination of physical and digital, the other key request that at times came from the customer was in terms of support that they needed to create question banks and question papers. So given the new Supreme Court directive and the overall demand that is there in our country, we were able to generate about 14.7 lakh unique items, and items by items I mean questions. So 14.7 lakh unique questions in our database across 16 Indian languages to be able to cater to the Supreme Court judgment, and put in a pool of 1,300 authors who we have tied up with, and these are essentially professors, authors, and significantly reputed educators who are involved in creating question papers for competitive exams. And in doing so, we made this was to make sure that as the demand and the overall playing field changed and the environment changed, we had the capability to provide behavioral analytics of candidates who were actually appearing for this assessment during the course of their assessment. We had enough and more vigilance monitors to ensure that malpractices was not kind of spoiling the environment during an execution of an exam. And we gave the flexibility to the candidate to appear for an assessment anytime, anywhere. And we will talk about it a little more in the course of the presentation itself. And this gave a lot of flexibility that to both the candidate and the institution using a time-tested platform to be able to deliver their examination on time per schedule, irrespective of what the challenges the environment environment threw at them, including the current pandemic. Now, as we went through this journey from 2012 to 2020, and as we look forward, some of these will be very familiar to you. Were some of the barriers that we faced and some of the challenges that that were there in the conduct of the assessment. Of course, the demands in the environment was that they looked for a robust and secure platform when they were changing from pen and paper to digital assessment. Customers were also and institutions were also looking at how our calendar, test center calendar, matched up with the institute's calendar of exams, so that they had that flexibility, they had that comfort of being able to still conduct the competitive exams and internal semester exams as per their original calendar, with the support of a computer-based assessment. There were students who were in areas where commute wasn't all that comfortable in terms of getting to the exam centers. So we looked also at the opportunity and the possibility of supporting students who would like to take the exam remotely, rather than having to travel hundreds of kilometers for an assessment. When we moved to this remote assessment, obviously there became a need for a remote proctor to an assessment, so that again we address the basic honor code of carrying out an assessment, something that an institution would obviously want to be adhered to maintain the credibility of the organization. How do we create and distribute question papers remotely? So we had question paper authors distributed across the country in certain scenarios where they wanted to create question papers while they are still at their own institution, but being able to do so with a lot of security, with able to do so with a lot of comfort, that this is something that is only visible to the author of the question paper. And then there was this increasing demand of introducing a wide range of question types. So it was not just MCQs, it became subjective type questions, it became fill in the blanks, and the list went on, and till a point in time where we found ourselves catering to 50 different type of questions that we had to bring in. And we were successful in bringing in onto our platform to be able to cater to that demand, because as education went global, education became more competitive. It became imperative for these institutions to continue to evolve in terms of the different tests that were made available to the candidates to filter. In the pen and paper world, there were often the challenge of result delays because of the logistics involved, because of people being located at various parts of the country who were assessing these papers, and the digital world essentially cut through that lead time, addressing the result delay. And of course, the big thing that we all wanted to address collectively was how do we make the exams fair? How do we make sure that there are no malpractices? How do we make sure that there wasn't a section of the candidates taking undue advantage of the fact that there was a environment set up for his or her comfort? As we went through the requirements from various institutions and the organizations who were recruiting, we were able to devise for them 4 exam formats, so that they don't necessarily have to have a computer as in a desktop in front of them to be able to give an exam, because there were various environments in which they were giving exams. So the traditional one continued to remain pen and paper, which we continue to support, and we continue to support even today. We also had a traditional, an evolution from that pen and paper into OMR, and where the candidates were expected to color out bubbles, and how do we electronically read those bubbles and make sure that those results are processed without having to require a manual intervention in evaluation. Then, of course, came the generation of computer-based assessments where you go to a physical test center, brick and mortar test center. You have a computer there, and you get assessed on the questions that are coming up on your screen. Then we moved to an area where we came up with the next 2.0 or so that we want to call for OMR. Instead of having to manually color out or shade out the right choice, in our ION paper device, which was an innovation that TCS ION came up with, we could now look at both the question paper as well as mark the OMR questions in the same tablet-like device, which give you the flexibility of not having to print OMR sheets, distribute it to hundreds of test centers, collect them back again, send it back to a scanning center, etc. So these tablets actually allowed you to read the question paper, respond to the questions, save the questions, and at the back end, the questions get automatically processed given the answers that have been captured that were submitted by the candidates. Now, as I mentioned, that you had to look at 50 types of question papers to accommodate across this the genre, and we mostly had the computer-based assessments catering to these 50 type of questions. Now, in this, as we came into this a new normal of the pandemic scenario, there were two kind of segregations that we had to do to address the requirement of the institution and the candidates. One in terms of stress on remote assessments, and the other on the socially distanced assessments, and we will cover it a bit more in detail as the time will provide. On the remote assessment variants, we had the requirement of no proctoring, where practice tests could be taken online by candidates, and there was no requirement of somebody to for proctor to essentially be able to see what the candidate was doing. Then there was low proctoring, where they were low stake exams. They needed some kind of intervention, but it was not all that imperative because it was an open book exam. Then there came the human proctoring angle, which was the next stage of evolution, where we had somebody actually monitoring each of these candidates through the webcam, making sure that they were following the honor code of the exam. AI brought in man and machine proctoring, which meant that not only was the human proctor overseeing the exam, there was also artificial intelligence triggering off alerts to the human proctor if they detected any intention of the candidate to bypass the norms of the assessment. In the SD assessment, the social distancing assessment, we again had similarly 4 variants. The social distance 50, where we gave and we'll talk about it in detail, where we gave a gap of about a seat, and we provided SD50 with isolation, where candidates who confirmed having COVID symptoms, they were put in a special isolation lab. However, they could continue to give the assessment on the same day without causing concern to the other candidates who appeared for the assessment. And then you had SD100, where as per the customer agreement. And the
Abhijit, there is some disturbance at your end. We can't hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, great. Yes.
Okay. So on the SD50 is essentially the difference was in terms of the spacing that was there between two candidates, and this was done in conjunction with the customer. And then you had SD100, where there was no gap between candidates, but other measures were taken again in conjunction with the rules and regulations laid out by the health department and the customer. Moving on, and this SD assessment and remote assessment, we were able to cater to the SD assessment for all types of assessments, whether it was a pen and paper, whether it was OMR, whether it was a computer-based, or it was a DGOMR. And especially for computer-based assessments, using a laptop or a desktop, we were also able to cater to the remote assessment, where people who have access to a laptop or a desktop at home can also take an exam, either proctored, humanly proctored, or a man-machine proctor combination. Now, in this remote assessment that we just touched on in the previous slide, to make it very simple, secured, and scalable, what we made sure is that there was an end-to-end capability of authoring the question paper from anywhere at any time, and we were able to cater to 30 to 50 item types or question types that was essentially required for the assessment. We were able to give the institution and the customer the support for admissions as well as semester exams with inbuilt tools and accessories that a candidate will need to, whether it's a calculator, whether it's a scribble pad, whether it's a whiteboard, for a rich text editor, whatever they would need to be able to respond to the type of questions that came up in front of on their screen. As I mentioned, proctoring with machine-based and with online human-based proctoring was made available across the board to the customer. And in the evaluation, we had two options available. Either we had auto scoring, which was a preset system configuration that allowed you to automatically score basis the key that has been uploaded, or we could have remote scoring with remote supervision, which essentially meant that the subjective type questions would roll out and you would be able to evaluate them remotely. In terms of the conduct of assessments, we gave the flexibility for spot registration with user-friendly user interface. There were analytics that we could we were able to provide to institutions with on the candidate response, the audit log in terms of the responses logged by the candidates, and some insightful analytics. The bandwidth support algorithm.
Abhijit, your voice is breaking. Probably you might want to use the computer microphone, please.
Okay. I've changed. Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay. And as I was to continue, as I was mentioning, that if from the admin control for these remote desktops and laptops on which the candidate was giving an exam, we were able to intelligently track, and the system would give us that opportunity to assess the moments of truth where the candidate may have to be locked, unlocked, or debarred from an assessment remotely if there is a need to do so, for whether it is for interruption in the exam or on account of any malpractice that has been confirmed. Now, when we moved, now that was about remote assessments. Now, when we moved to social distance assessments, especially in this COVID kind of scenario, we came into a situation where there was significant disruptions that was that the institutions feared that they would have that they would face in terms of conducting the assessments. The exams.
Abhijit, your voice is breaking. Maybe there is an internet issue or low bandwidth issue. Maybe you want to disable your video and just go with audio.
Let me do that.
That point of time, voice will be clear.
Let's see if that works. So significant disruptions in the exams postponed due to lockdown, and where the on-center assessment became as critical as doing remote assessment. So there were institutions, there were examinations which could not be done remotely, and they needed the candidates to come in to a physical brick and mortar test center to give the assessment. So if these were the three broad constraints, what were we thinking in terms of making available to our customers and institutions, education institutions, so that they could still conduct their assessments? So we got together with AIMS and with the Ministry of Health, and we came up with a set of guidelines which was approved by the Ministry of Health, and we formulated that to form with the background of the 200 million SSCs that we had. We gotten the experience of the onset exams, and we created a list of norms that would become applicable for social distance assessments, whether it involved touch-free entry, whether it involved mandatory use of thermoguns and Arogya Setu, sanitization before entry, how do we do touch-free security checks by doing away with replacing biometric, replacing handheld metal detectors, replacing frisking, physical frisking, but still making sure that all the security checks were performed with a non-intrusive touch-free identity verification before the candidate was allowed to get into the exam hall. And thereafter, what are the hygiene norms that we could put in place in adoption of the social distancing norms that were laid down by the central government. So with this remote assessment and with the SD assessment, the two powerful deployment offerings that we had, here is a case study that we did, here is a assessment that we executed for NMIMS, a deemed university in Maharashtra, where the services that TCS ION was expected to execute was end-to-end, right from application management to allocation and assignment of students, to creating the question paper, to conducting the remote assessment, and finally to hand over the merit list and do some post-exam analytics for the candidate performance. Now, the candidate base that was there was for about 26,000. We had 7 question papers and 2 subjects, and the added complexity was that there were candidates who were appearing in both the subjects. So they were there in multiple, appearing for multiple question papers and needed access to multiple question papers. So to be able to tackle this kind of a constraint situation, we had some preparatory interventions that we set up just to make sure, both from an institution, TCS, and from a candidate perspective, we were ready for the exam. So the base was pan-India. There were people appearing from all over India. So it was not in a specific state. So we had to cater to candidates who were in various zones of internet strength and internet access. So we created something called an infrastructure readiness check, a 3-day check where all the candidates were given an access to a set of questions, dummy questions, and they were asked to use that to test their system of assessment. Now that is where it became imperative for us to monitor with the help of our help desk teams and cater to every candidate to make sure that, which included those who also were appearing for such an exam for the first time, that we were able to handhold these candidates, get them comfortable, get their system set up and their access confirmed before to get them confident for the exam ahead. Once this stage was cleared over a period of 3 days, we introduced the data requirement check, where we had to make sure that the candidates were able to now take a simulation of the actual exam. So if the exam was for 70 minutes, the DRC was for also 70 minutes, and the question type was exactly the one that they would also face in the actual exam. So this gave them a mock to be able to practice hands-on, time themselves, and get comfortable with the entire setup, to be able to get ready as a final level of clearance for their exam setup. Now, in the course of execution of this process and up to the end of the assessment and thereafter, we had the opportunity and the infrastructure set up to send out automated SMS and emails to candidates, to enable the proactive online support to candidates to resolve their hardware issues. We were also able to reschedule some of the candidates who could not go through with their IRC and the DRC in the first attempt, so we were able to reschedule them. and also to for the and therefore be able to post the exam, support the customer with the classification of candidates based on the video analytics and the scores, the re-verification of the proctored videos on doubtful cases, which the customer thought or the AI gave us an output of malpractice. So with this kind of a setup, working along with the institution, we were able to conduct the assessment successfully over a period of 3 exam days, where we had 82% of the registered candidates turning out to give the exam, and overall an approximate 20% cost saving, because there was a lot of investment in brick and mortar, in the hardware, that the customer no longer had to invest in to be able to make the exam happen. In conclusion, uh, looking at the entire landscape of assessment, whether it is SD assessment, social distance assessment, on-center assessment, or remote assessments, uh, where TCS makes a difference and TCS ION brings in the differentiators, are essentially the speed at which the entire end-to-end setup is executed. Because everything is available in-house and the dependency is minimal on third party, whether it is content authoring, whether it is question paper distribution, whether it is evaluation of the subjective assessments, we were able to deliver and turn around the requirement for the first customer faster than our competition. We were able to deliver high stake exams and the number of assessments in a single shift, scaling up to 230,000 plus in one of the largest cross country shift that we executed, which gave us the scale to be able to deliver this 200 million plus candidates to be assessed. In terms of security and AI implementation, not only did we were able to very quickly deploy AI across on-center remote assessments, we were also able to generate automated alerts, train proctors, so that if the customers did not have proctors, we could provide them as well, making sure all our systems and softwares had all the requisite certifications, domestic and international, to be able to give the peace of mind to our customers in terms of malpractice avoidance, of get the systems getting hacked, etc. And this gave us an opportunity to confidently reach out to candidates and to customers for with an user-friendly interface, integrated with third-party tools like a calculator, like a CK editor, like other tools that a customer would require, which necessarily are not built by us, and an embedded support in the application with a help desk to be able to cater to the technical requirements of a candidate getting comfortable during the testing rounds. Therefore, with the time-tested leadership of scalable delivery of assessment, we are able to ensure over these 8 years certainty and enhanced credibility for every customer, every institution that we have worked till date. We look forward to partnering with all of you on this platform and be able to convert the best practices to make sure that we are able to deliver and cater to your students and the candidates that you will be bringing on board in this examination calendar year. Thank you, Darshan.
Yeah, thanks, Abhijit. Yeah, with this, I would like to introduce Ram Kumar Jairam, who is our head of higher education practice team. Welcome, Ram. Over to you, Ram.
Thanks, Darshan, for a short introduction on this. Are you all audible? Is my voice audible?
Yes, Ram.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure meeting you virtually. Good to know that a lot of educationists across the country have been participating in this webinar and peacefully listening to us for the last half an hour. See, a very important aspect of the whole education practices is the outcome. So the focus that TCS has taken up, that though we introduce a lot of transformation products leveraging technology, right? Initially we spoke about learning transformation, then Abhijit spoke about how assessments are getting transformed in this country. A key factor that how are we, making sure all this transformation are resulting in a progression. Now, our ultimate goal or objective is to make sure students are able to get a good quality learning, and that results in getting them placed in good organizations. Now let's quickly see current challenges in this country. Number one, top companies visit limited pre-decided campus. In fact, this concept is slowly fading, but still exists in many of the places. So we have to see how we are able to manage this particular point. Second important point is low involvement of corporates in imparting learning. So this is again we have to one point that which Smriti also addressed, how industry can participate in educating the students, how industry can collaborate with academia and make sure they share their application knowledge with them. Third important point to note is hindered internship opportunities during crisis. Not just crisis, in my opinion, this internship is a very, very big challenge all throughout the year, any part of the country and any part of the time. So we are we need to address how that can be made seamless and smooth for the students. Unstructured internships, internships available, and many of the curriculum today are not in line with AICT or EDC guidelines. So that is an again important point to be noted. Students struggle for practical and hands-on exposure. Very, very obvious. Many of our curriculum and syllabus are more focused on theory, component. We need to see how we can impart application knowledge to the students. Lack quality connect with industry mentors. Now, of course, these internships, when we bring in, we should see how we can make industries to involve in educating the students. So that's a very important aspect. Inefficient framework to monitor and track interns' performance. So basically, the mechanism at which we are evaluating an intern is not very scientific in nature. So we have to see what process can we bring in to make it more efficient. Yes, Darshan, can you move next? Thank you. So we thought, and as Smriti rightly said, there is a group of educationists whom we are working collectively with. We thought, what set of things should we bring in, products that we should bring in to address these challenges. The first one is that came to our mind is remote internship. It's something it's going to be the new normal. Number one, especially in the number of students, whether they are in engineering or non-engineering stream, the number of students are getting increased. In fact, the new NEP policy says the percentage of enrollment is going to be significantly increased in the coming years. So it's all the more important for the education institutions to make sure every student is getting an internship opportunity, which we have made it a reality actually. So we will go a little deeper into it as we progress. Second important thing that we have, another thing that is very, very important to make sure the students are getting the right placement is the qualifier. We introduced a product called qualifier. Hundreds of leading corporates in this country have been aligned with this product. What it means is students don't have to run behind hundreds of corporate, reaching out to the HR, finding out their email IDs and sending their CVs to them and write 100 different examinations. We came with a qualifier concept. It's a one examination for any job, any corporate job. So what the student has to do is they have to prepare well. The construct and details we have given it in our portal very clearly. Student have to prepare well. They can practice also and then come and take this test. Scoring well in this test assures them an interview opportunity with the corporates. And once they do well in the interview, the very, very high chance that they get hired in this corporate. So very, very innovative way of making students placed. To make sure they prepare well, we also thought, okay, bringing a qualifier test doesn't help. Then we have to actually bring in a place how to each prepare them for this qualifier. Then that's where prep for job came into place. It's a preparatory tool where students can come subscribe themselves. They can take practice tests at will. and it gives a very detailed analytics to know how they performed, what is their strength, what is their weakness, and they can keep trying until they very comfortable and sure that they are going to crack the qualifier test. It's a very successful product. The fourth, but not the last but not the least, the certain age. A new concept by itself. Today, many of the universities can actually adapt this model for their semester exam. What it means is certain age actually kind of tests the students' theory as well as practical knowledge on a given subject. So today these certifications are available. In fact, students can subscribe for it. Colleges can subscribe for it. They can make the students who go for this, and it helps them when they go to an interview. Today, in fact, some of the recent articles when I saw, it's very clearly mentioned just getting scores and high marks in an graduate doesn't help a student to get an job. Additional certifications like this actually adds a very significant weightage in hiring. So yeah, move on please. Let's go detail into this offering, which is internship. It's very critical that we understand this offering because in fact it's a hot take. We launched it 3 months back. Thousands of students are already into this, and many hundreds of institutions have already adopted this program. We have three variants in this. This we call it as Rio 45, 125, and 210. What does 45 mean? It's a 45-hour program, and Rio 125 is a 125 hours program, and 210 is 210 hours program. And we also suggest 1 credit for 45, 3 credits for 125, and 5 credits for 210. Rio 45, the program can be completed in 10 days. 125 can be completed in 30 days. And Rio 210 can be completed in 45 days. This is exactly designed in line with AICTE and UGC norms. So any university or institution don't have to worry. It's a straight pick. You can pick up and adopt it straight away and implement it as part of your program itself. So it completely aligns with the guidelines of AICTE and UGC. So components that we will cover basically in a 45-hour program is a self-learning content to up to 10 hours. Industry project will be available, which will be they have to complete in 15 hours. Daily activity reports, now they have to submit. Roughly around 5 hours they'll spend on that. Knowledge sharing. Basically, when I say knowledge sharing, it's a community where industry experts will come in the community. Students have to post their questions, get this clarified. And finally, a Viva. They have to submit a report, and the Viva will be conducted by the academic guide. So when the student enrolls for this program, they'll be giving minimum information about themselves and about their institution, also about their academic guide. So industry guide will be automatically assigned by the system, and academic guide has to be the student has to get in touch with their college or university, get the academic person details, and then enroll for the program. There could be a lot of scenarios where students on vacation still they are very keen to do the program. Those kind of students don't have to have an academic guide. We don't insist that they can come and take up the program, do it on their own as well. So for the Rio 125 model, apart from what we saw in Rio 45, they will get additional inputs. One is the industry project will be a slightly a difficult and larger project. Up to 50 hours they will spend on that. And then a recorded webinar session. Basically, industry experts will speak about the trends and the topics related to them, and they will get a chance to listen to that. Rio 210, all the construct that we spoke about in Rio 45 and 125 is available. Over and above that, there will be a self-learning content for 25 hours, which more focused on industry readiness skills and things like that. And it's a mega project, up to 90 hours project they will get. They are a very deep diving project they will have to do, and they will get webinar sessions on industry readiness skills. So as I said, it's a well-defined program. All ingredients that are really required to make sure the students learn, and not necessarily that the student has to come to an corporate premises and do these programs. The bigger advantage of this, They can do this 24/7, 365 days from any part of the country. They can nominate themselves, subscribe for this program, and they can continue it even during their semester times. They don't have to wait for a vacation or at the period of summer vacation or a winter vacation to do this. As part of their regular studies, they will be in a position to do and complete these internship programs. Yeah, Darshan. Some of the key benefits, we look at it and build and assess industry relevant skills among students to improve the placements. These are one of the important outcome of this program. Reduce dependency on campus visits. Student can proactively seek opportunity. Very, very important aspect with respect to the institutions view also. As you grow, a lot of enrollments will come in. Not every institution can accommodate every student and get them a good internship program. This is a very good way to get them occupied. Avoid stress in preparing and taking multiple corporate recruitment tests. So as I said, one qualified test will make sure that it's a passport to enter a corporate engagement. Standard and uniform way to validate on the job experience. So this is another outcome that we see from this whole program. And finally, improved institutional credence, increased placements for students in the academic institutions. See, ultimately, the more students are getting placed, the brand value of the institution go up significantly. And our intent is to see how can we, help these institutions achieve this. And we have a set of people who can work closely with all your institutions and guide them on all such.
Ram,
Yes, did I hear
Ram, we are unable to hear you, Ram.
Is it audible now?
Yeah.
So what I was saying is, it's I think where did you not hear? Should I repeat the whole thing, or is it okay?
Last 30 seconds, Ram.
Okay, so the final thing which I was trying to say is the very, very important goal for an education institution, college, university, or any higher education institution, is to make sure they get good internships for the students and high placement ratio. That decides the brand value of the institution itself. And we are here to help them out to make sure they achieve their goal. So please get in touch with our respective teams. I think at the end of this program, you will get contact details from us. Make sure that you write to us, call us. We will be in a position to help you out. Thanks everyone for the patient listening. Over to you, Darshan.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ram.
Thank you.
With this, I would like to introduce Manikandan Nagaraj, who is our education domain consultant. So Mani has handled delivery for one of the products within operations transformation, which is the digital campus, which he will be speaking about. So Mani was also an associate professor in Oxford College and has significant education industry experience. So welcome, Mani. Over to you.
Thank you, Darshan. Thanks for the opportunity. Good evening to you all. Am I audible?
Yes, Mani.
Darshan, slide control is with me.
Yeah, Mani, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Can you change the slide? Yeah. So the fourth very important aspect we want to discuss about is the operation transformation. So today, if you see, many of the educational institutions have a problem in administrating the whole thing. So because of poor administration, so what will happen is, what are all the challenges what they face is, the first one is a stakeholder communication. So the student and the faculty interaction is not properly communicated, and it is not even properly recorded, I can say. The advanced academic performance, so it is limited to the tracking the students performance is very limited, because maximum we'll go with the paper and pen approach or an Excel approach, and where I cannot get a personalized analytics about the student, so I cannot focus on that particular student. So third one is uniform standard processing. So for example, if you take exam conduction, department to department, there will be a lots of variation, and even the variation, with the variation, if they want to go also, the standardization is not there, in the sense across the institution, lack of standardization between department to departmental communication, so which is reducing the efficiency of the institution. The fourth one is informed decision making. When you have a limited analytics about the student or about the process, so you can't take any informed decision. For example, next year admission, how will I increase? If I can know that last year, which month, which state I received a more application, which institution the lots of students have come, so then immediately this year, from little bit before, well in advance, I can plan and I can bring those students to my college, and I can ensure that. So that kind of a decision informed informed decision making is not possible with a less analytics. And finally, a process efficiency. Normally, even though many institutions claims that they have automated their administrative processes, their administrative process automation is in silos. For example, accounts, a different package will be available. HRMS, totally a different package will be available, and student timetable management and academics, a different package. Now, what will happen is, tomorrow, if I want to prepare a report for a NAC or a NBA, I have to get a detail from 5 different solution which works in silos, and I have to combine the report, and then I have to prepare the report and I have to submit it. So here, lots of time of a faculty is getting wasted in preparing this kind of an administrative report itself. So what we thought is, if I can ease you all these things, if stakeholder communication can be automated, any event is happening automatically, if I can communicate to the students, maybe for an example, if tomorrow examination is going to start, if I can send an SMS or an email communication automatically based on the event, so how it can make a difference. Then even if I can give a personalized analytics about every student, how they are performing, how they are studying, how much hour they are spending in a library, how much hour they are spending in an online digital material, so how it can make a difference. Then the process standardization wise, exam means a uniformed standardization process. Maybe you might be using a different standard growth curve or a for the model you are using for your calculation. Everything, if I can standardize you across the institution, how efficiently you can drive it, and everything combined together. Tomorrow, if you want to submit a report for an NBA or a NAC or your local LIC inspection committee report, with the click of a button, if you can download a report and submit it to the required authorities, then how happy you feel. So putting together all these thoughts, we came up with the 2 solutions. One, which will make your administrative very, very easily. Second thing, which is a learning platform, which is with the scientific behind it, and which will make your teaching learning methodology very effectively. So first one, for an operational challenges, administrative challenges, we digital campus, and second one, for your learning challenges, we call it as a ION digital learning solution. So if you see what are all the process which is happening in an institution, if you see normally a suspect to applicant, there's a stage, that means a student who is not my student is, I should know whether this candidate, the suspect, is interested in my institution or not, and based on his interest, I should make him as a prospect, then I should convert him as an applicant, and I ensure that he is joining my institution. So this is what my admission management overall will take care of. Once the students joins my institution, today a UGC or an NBA or a NAC, there are lots of policy changes, And even with the new educational policy, they are more stressing upon the choice-based credit system. If I want to implement this CBCS choice-based credit system in full-fledged manner, without a system, without an operational system, it is very difficult. For example, if I want to implement a choice-based credit system, I should know about the interest of the student, then how many electives the students are interested in, which are all the electives are well sold by, taken by the students, I should know, and what are all the students, what are all the courses the students can self-study, those information, all this information which is required. So here what we come and help you, our system academics, which will help you in a student data management and improving and implementing a choice-based credit system, which is fully aligned with your new educational policy 2020 as well. So will be helpful to you. And third one is the student admin services. If you see, most of the time the fee management and the fee reconciliation is the biggest issue. Sometimes the students might have collected a fee from a parents and they might have not deposited in a college, and the student will submit a check which will get bounced again and again. So these are all the things, if you can inform the parents immediately before the event is happening, that means next week your fees is a due date, your son has not yet paid the fees, or if I can provide an online fee payment service to the parent directly, where using a UPI or a debit card or a credit card, if the parents can sit at their home and they can make the payment, how easy it will be. The same time, if the parents can log into the system and they can see their son or daughter's performance, how many times they have entered into a library, how many books they have taken, how many times they log into a learning management solution, how many self-assessment they have taken. So all those informations will be well informed to the parents, so which will be very much useful to you. Third thing is library. As most of you are a professor and assistant professors, stock taking is a process in every year, and most of the faculties might have involved. So how difficult we know. We introduced 2-3 examples. I want to quote how easy it is going to make your life. A mobile-based book a stock management system. For example, you take a mobile and open your camera and open my MTop solution, and you scan all the barcodes. Now it is over. It will reconcile with the remaining books which is available in the library, plus the books taken by the students. Then it will give you a list that how many books are missing from the library. So it is going to be very easy and manageable system for you. And main heart of any institution is exam management department, as already Abhijit has detailedly explained. Starting from the question paper creation from the bank using a different difficulty level, it could be a Bloom's difficulty level, remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So whatever the difficulty level you want to create a question paper, the question paper can be automatically created from your question bank, and which can be securely shared to your students for writing an examination. If you want to write a paper and pen examination, the written examination paper can be scanned and it will be available for the marking. So even you can give subject specialist or a particular unit if you want to give it to a professor A, and the second unit if you want to give it to a professor B. So that level of segmentation you can do it, and you can automatically assign it to those faculties for evaluation. So once this exam valuation is over, so whatever the grading scheme you are using, a standard grading scheme or relative grading scheme, based on that your exam result will be automatically prepared by the system, and immediately you can declare the result within a very quick time. So then comes to your administrative part of it, and faculty management is a very key area. Their performance should be managed, their improvements during the academic period, what are all the things they undergo, how many international seminar they participated, and they how many national seminar they participated, how many papers they published, all those things we want to track. Even I want to track about my employees' performance based on the students' feedback also. Sometimes what will happen is a student might even not attended the college, and he will come and tell that this faculty is poor, or he will give a 0 mark. If you see those kind of criteria, so we have given a very unique solution. I can limit the students' feedback based on their attendance percentage. In the sense, if Manikandan is a faculty, if X or Y student want to give a feedback, you should have attended minimum 75% or 65% of Manikandan's class, then only is eligible to give a feedback. So now this feedback can be linked with your performance management. Now, when you take a performance analytics based on this feedback, it will give you an exact view about the faculty, whether he is poor in the subject or he is poor in the presentation knowledge, and which area is weak for the faculties, right? So now, along with that, the payroll is normally it is calculated based on whatever the new rules and regulations which was introduced by say state and central government. Then we support even a finance and accounting and procurement and inventory. So everything. So your budget making, starting departmental budget, how much you are going to allot, how this budget is utilized. If you want to allot 30% to a computer purchase and 20% for the consumable, everything can be handled through a procurement and inventory system. Even auto inventory management is also available in the system. For example, a chemistry lab which is using a sulfuric acid, if you are setting it as reorder level is 1 liter, whenever the chemical goes to 1 liter level, automatically it will send a vendor order copy. So mainly, whenever we go for an automation, the key of automation is integrated solution, full-fledged integrated solution. So when it is there in a silos, even though we call lots of time our institution is automated, it is not really automated if it is not integrated. Can we move on to our next slide? Second thing is teaching and learning transformation. As I previously informed you, there is a science behind every teaching and learning process. And even the NBA, when they started introducing an outcome-based education based on Bloom's taxonomy, they also told the same. The science behind teaching and learning processes, first we should induce the student's interest. If the student is interested, automatically they will start learning. If they start learning, you can teach them. It is very simple. So that is why the three domain concept you know very well: knowledge domain, and intuitive domain, and psychomotor domain. So when the intuitive domain works, the knowledge domain automatically can be developed. If these two are combined together, the interest and knowledge combines together, automatically he will become a better student than what he is today. So in that only, even the outcome based education, the same, the collaborative learning perspective. You know very well, the psychologist says that better teaching and learning is happening in the peer learning. In the sense, more than what I have learned from my teacher, I have learned from my next bench student is more. Because when he conveys the message, it is making it more interesting and it is more relevant to me, right? So what we have introduced is instructor, learner, expert, leader, corporate, L&D. So all those things are coming under a teaching group. Then we introduced for a collaborative learning blogs, bites, surveys, question answer, debates, which will be increasing the students' fourth and fifth and sixth level of knowledge. So which will make the entire learning journey a scientific approach. Next slide, Darshan. So mainly if you see, when the administrative ERP fails, many institutions might have practiced with many ERP solution, and later you might have understood that it is not working. Why it has failed is, first, the process is I have to configure a system. Then once the system is configured based on the university requirement, we have to train the customer how to use it. Then that's the people should perform the transaction in the ION or any solution. then you have to generate a report, then only you will get a real value out of it, and you have to configure it for the next term. So normally what will happen is in an implementation process, I come and I train you, I teach you about the system, then I leave the institution. So when next year, when you try to configure, the system will not work properly. Maybe the person who learned is not learned fully, or you know very well, we have a more iteration rate. The number of employees are moving out and coming in or more. So there might be a new person joined in and knowledge transfer properly didn't happen. Finally, the institution failed with an automation process. So if we go to many institutions, they will tell that 5-6 ERP we have used and nothing is useful. So we changed our approach a little bit. We stressed upon the managed service for a better approach. What does this managed service is? Configuring a system is TCS ION work. Training the customer on how to use this TCS ION work. We will give you a dedicated project manager who sits and works according to your working hour. And he ensures that these first two things are happening, and performing a transaction as before is a customer work, and processing and giving you a result, which is creating a value is my work, and configuring a system for a next year or a next semester is everything is a TCS ION. So what will happen here is I have a project manager, I have a configuration team. It will take, for example, I want to quote, you give your timetable in a paper and pen or an Excel mode. I create the timetable in my system and give it to you. Now, as a teacher, your work is go and mark attendance. Before you might be doing it in a register, now you do it in a mobile or whatever it is. So here also we simplified your work, because automation, we believe that it should simplify your work. So you photo capture based attendance. Today you go get into the class, open my mobile app, take 4-5 group photograph and submit it and come out of the classroom. That's it, your attendance is captured. So many processes like this, we have very simplified and we made it very easy to you. Right, next slide, please. So for a better experience, just I want to quickly take you through a journey of where we have completely transformed their process of examination. That is Chhattisgarh Swami Vivekananda Technical University, which is in Bhilai, Chhattisgarh. So before we go, there are totally a paper-based enrollment and exam process. Everything is a paper-based. The student used to register. The principal will sign and seal, and then it will go to a university. So all those processes were happening. Everything is manual. So when we went there, what are all the challenges we felt is 100+ colleges. There are around 12 years of backlog data which is lying with them. The students have not completed their degree and they have a backlog and they're still coming and writing an examination. There were around 11 crore records were analyzed, and we qualified around 3+ crore records, and which is extracted and uploaded into the system within 2 months of time. Now the system is ready for an examination. Now we introduced an e-form, an application form. The students, when they log in and when they open the application form, it will show that how many papers they cleared, how many papers are backlogged, how many papers this semester they have to write. The entire information will be available to them. Now, once the examination is over, even the mark processing also, internal mark capturing, it is in a paper and pen mode. So we made it as online. The faculty, every faculty were given an user ID and password. The faculty can log in, they can enter an internal mark. The practical examiner can log in and enter a practical mark. Now, once the final semester marks I receive it, immediately I can process the result and I can publish the result to the students. Now also the secrecy is maintained. Without a user ID and password, I cannot see my friends' results. So that level of security we may have maintained, and the entire things we have implemented and we made it live within a 6 months. So that means I entered a January. By December, the next semester examination, we made the entire process successful, and we were able to deliver a result by January itself. So this is what I just a case study I would like to brief. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Darshan. Over to you. Any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Mani. With this, I would like to introduce Ravindra Kambavi, our Chief Education Evangelist, to summarize the session. Ravi, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Darshan. Good evening, educationalists, head of institutions, decision makers, professors, head of departments, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be very quick. I know we have overshot the time, but I'll be very quick. I'll just summarize. We spoke on 4 dimensions, which is learning, assessment. We spoke about the internships, placement and internship, and we spoke about the last dimension, which is the operations. Right. So overall, I mean, we are one-stop EdTech transformation partner. You can see we are covering right from learning to assessments to placement and internship, and then automating your operations, day-to-day operations. So yeah, I mean, when we say we are one-stop EdTech company, we mean that we are technology leaders in the country, we are technology leaders in the world. So we will do whatever it takes to ensure that you get a wow experience when you collaborate with us. There are already partners who are engaged with us, who are reaping the benefits of technology in all these 4 dimensions. Darshan, very quickly, please. Next slide. Yeah. So we are here to support, we are here to transform, we are here to add value to what you're doing right now. I would recommend that in the space of learning, in the space of learning, maybe an IHC which Smriti spoke about. You can integrate. There are institutions who have already integrated industry honors certification because it is built on 5 credit base or 3 credit base based on the course. So already institutions have started integrating into their curriculum. So our recommendation is if you have not gone through it, or if you really want information, stay connected with us. You can integrate the industry honor certification or industry honor program. Right. Similarly, there are other learning small modules or products which you can again make it mandatory for your students. Right. And these learning courses are created by industry and then for the industry, so you can understand why there is so much of stress in the learning ecosystem, where we are trying to bring in that element of industry coming in and then teaching the students and through the institutes. Yeah, the second element, which assessment, which Abhijit spoke about, is I mean, we are one of the largest assessment company in India. So you have gone through that. So you can run your new admission tests. You can run your final year semester end exams very effectively and securely. So that is the second dimension we spoke about. Third dimension, especially the internship. We are here to support students to complete their internship programs, which we all know that how important it is for a student to complete internship, and that too from an industry. What a better opportunity for a student to get a TCS ION certificate for that. So please, and I know there are institutes also that there are institutes who have made it mandatory for their students to complete the TCS ION internship through their institutes. So maybe you can look at that. Operations, again, very beautifully explained by Manigandan. I mean, in day-to-day operations, how important it is today, in today's world rather, whether pandemic or non-pandemic, how important it is for a decision maker, for a trustee, for an educationalist to have data readily available, so that an informed decision can be taken. It could be on any front. So leverage our state-of-art campus solutions. Maybe there are already quite a few large institutions who have gone ahead and then started leveraging our state-of-art campus solutions. So you can drop in a mail to us at inquiry.tcsion@tcs.com. We'll get in touch with you. We have teams, so we'll get in touch with you. There is a special offer for any or all 4 key transformational dimensions for a volume-based discount, which is applicable till 15th of September. I just thought I'll mention this as well. So kindly go ahead and then reach out to us at inquiry.tcsion@tcs.com. With this, I'll request Darshan to run a poll. Post that, we'll open up question and answers. Over to you, Darshan.
Yeah, thanks. Request each of you, a poll will be initiated pretty soon. Please do take the poll. And we are open up for Q&A. So please do post your questions in the Q&A window. Yeah, so let me start looking at the questions. Yeah, I think the first question is, what are the business terms for IHC, Rio, and Digital Campus? So I think the question is, how does education institutions engage with TCS ION? Ravi, you might want to take it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was on mute. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you, Darshan. So institutions, yes, we tie up with institutions. We have a contract with institutions who would sign up a contract, and then you can leverage all our learning products. So kindly write to us on inquiry.tcsion.com at tcs.com, sorry, so that we can touch base with you and give you complete details about the next steps.
Okay, so the next question is, how do we map the curriculum of the student with such variable demand in need by the industry?
Okay, so our team will assist you. We will assist you. We would like to understand what is your curriculum, current curriculum, and how do we sort of create or probably have our ready-made industry and industry honor certificate courses into your curriculum. So our team will help you. Kindly reach out to us. We'll have a very detailed discussion. We would require a detailed discussion before we really recommend a solution on that. But definitely, yes, it is possible. There are institutes who have already done it. There are many who are doing it. So it's a good opportunity to have industry-ready courses being integrated into the curriculum. So kindly reach out to us. Give us your contact details as well. We'll come back to you on that.
Okay, the next question.
Add,
If
I can just add to Ravi, there are two modes that institutions are working with us. The first is, as Ravi and Smriti highlighted, we, with our experience talking to corporates and being one of the largest recruiters ourselves, have put together a set of courses and skills that are in high demand in the market, and then embedded it with a lot of the things that Smriti spoke on to make the learning very apt and outcome oriented. So that's one dimension of partnership. The second is we are also working with institutes to co-create full-fledged programs, the industry honors program, which goes into deep specialization. Again, this is a more involved conversation that we are having to map out all the courses that your institution provides once, so that the benefit can be maximized. So these are the two modes. And as Ravi mentioned, you can connect with us to learn more and see how we can help you on the same.
Thanks, Krishan. The next question is OBE also included in Digital Academic Administration module?
Can you come again, Darshan? Darshan?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Yeah, okay. The question is OBE also included in Digital Academic Administration module?
Mani, would you like to take that?
Yeah, I'll take it up. OBE is also there in the platform administration. That means if you buy a digital campus solution, your OBE can be implemented with IDC and IDL, and even your course outcome, program outcome mapping, and PEO attainment calculation, everything system does. The only thing is you have to map it to the question, what question targets for what CO and PO. Then the final calculation will be made by the system, and it will give you a report. And directly you can use it for your NBA submission.
Yeah, the next question to the panel here, to all the speakers. Most of the syllabus of affiliated colleges, both UG and PG, is not revised as fast as industry requires. How can an educator design a pedagogy within the syllabus and time constraint to keep the students engaged and competitive?
Can I take that question? Okay, so yeah, I mean, yes, one of the challenges which affiliated colleges, as you rightly mentioned, is that it becomes difficult to integrate these courses. However, students, I mean, as an institution, you can ask students to take this as an open elective, as an open learning course, and then you can train students on the Industry 4.0 skills which we spoke about. So it doesn't stop an affiliated college in any way to give benefit of these courses to their students.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah. Yes, Smriti, you might want to add, or do you want to?
I think Smriti is on another call. So.
Oh, okay. Sure, we'll move ahead. So the next question is, so one of the institutes seems to be going for NBA. In the current pandemic situation, the question is how they can assess the OBE of their students.
The one is, as Abhijit has explained, that you can conduct a remote assessment examination. Even remote assessment supports your the calculation of attainment calculation. We can do it. Second thing is our IDL platform, digital learning platform. As the one is the feedback from the students, you can take it and they can use the mobile platform for their learning and other purposes. So attainment calculation, the end-to-end, your digital campus will be supportive to you. So our main aim and motto is the learning should not stop whatever the situation is. So that is the reason we have started encouraging this online mode teaching and a blended teaching. So everything. So even we have conducted successfully a practical using our interaction manager where the videos are captured for the skill. For example, if the question is how to fill a oil in a engine, so they used to clean the engine and refill the oil, and the video will be shared with the SMEs. The SME will evaluate and they will share the mark. So here the COVID situation or whatever the situation will not stop the students from learning, teaching and learning process, and even their attainment calculation.
Yeah, thanks, Mani. So the next question is how internships are provided to various branches of students, from computers to electronics to mechanical to manufacturing to civil. I think it's a varied this thing. So I've kind of combined a couple of questions. So Ram, you might want to take this.
Yeah, sure. See, the important or the most important value proposition that we try to bring in remote internships is the variety of projects that we have covered. Over few hundreds of projects cut across different streams and domains are available. The ideology here is the industry experts picks up those kinds of projects which can be done by the student in a remote fashion. So there will not be a level of physical activity which the dependency is very high, especially for the student on an institution or with the corporate. So it will be more the projects are curated in such a way that in any stream, whether it's an electrical engineer or a mechanical engineer or a civil engineering student, can do it at ease and can do it related to their stream and can do it from wherever they are.
Yeah, thanks, Ram. I think we're already 20 minutes past the slot. So Krishnan, over to you for any closing comments.
Thanks, Darshan. I definitely appreciate the time that leaders from the education industry have taken today to spend time with us. Thanks a lot for that. And the final remark that I want to mention is any questions, any queries, please reach out to us. We are here to get your feedback and work very closely with you and your management to make sure that students, academics, and the education industry get transformed. As leaders from technology, as leaders from industry, and as leaders from the academic world, we all need to work together to make this happen. We are very committed. This is what keeps us awake at night. And we want to definitely use our collective effort to bring this transformation. And I definitely look forward to hearing from all of you on how we can work together and create a strong partnership to make this benefit reach every student in the country. Thank you.
Thanks, Krishnan. So thank you all for joining in. So please do write to us if you have any questions, queries. How do we partner? Write to us at inquiry.tcsion@tcs.com. So please do write to us and we will be in touch. Our team of education evangelists will touch base with you for further discussions. Thank you all for joining in. We are signing off now. Thank you.